Good morning. This will be another ride with me to work video. This video, I want to talk about the concept of action, Wu Wei, effortless action, flow, and taking action. Some people, when it comes to manifesting, some people will talk about, you got to bring heaven down to earth. You got to, take some action. You can't just, think things are just going to magically manifest. And in the Christian world that I was in for years, people talk about putting feet on your prayers. In other words, you get on your knees, do your prayer, and then get up on your feet and, move in the direction of what you were praying about that you want to see manifest or the prayer answered. And that is true in its general sense, absolutely. Because in this human earth matrix game of life, we're here to experience. Now, Neville Goddard, who taught about manifesting, of course, said that you can do nothing, and that it's an illusion that you can do anything. What he was talking about, he was talking about wanting to get tickets to a play that were supposedly sold out and unavailable for his brother and his brother's friend. He wouldn't want to go, but he was going to go get the tickets for him. And he stood in line, even though the ticket booth had a sign that clearly said tickets for that particular play were sold out, but they were selling tickets for other plays or whatever. And he stayed in that line. And he had impudence, what he called, brazen impudence. He just would not take no for an answer in his mind. So he took the actions. And if you know the story, by the time he got up to the ticket booth, the ticket guy, when he asked for tickets for that particular play that was supposed to have been sold out, and there were signs already saying that particular play was already sold out, because he did a favor for the ticket booth guy there while he was in line. I don't want to spoil the story. If you've never heard it, you need to check it out. Tickets for Aida, the play Aida that Neville was getting for his brother and his brother's friend. Well, the ticket booth guy pulled out some VIP special tickets that were set aside and sold them to Neville, because Neville helped him out, because some grifters were trying to rip off the ticket booth guy. So, I guess I just spoiled the story. But anyway, and then there was a story told, I believe this is by Neville, a story about a man who wanted a rare record album, and he was having a hard time finding anywhere, so he mentally manifested chose to have the reality, it chose to be the person, the identity of the man that has that musical album that he wanted. So then he's going down the sidewalk, and he sees in the town, he sees a record store, music store, that has the album in the window. And, the album, at least the album cover, has it pictured in the window. So he goes in there to buy it, and the guy says, "I'm sorry, we're sold out, we don't have that." Well, the man said that he said in his mind, he says, "That's not what I heard you say." Brazen impudence. He didn't get upset. He didn't take no for an answer. But then as he turned to walk out of the record store, he says, "Well, then you should take that sign out of the window." And the record guy goes, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I do." So he went over to take it out of the window, and he realized that the one last issue of that record album was in the window display. And he sold it to the guy. Now, I personally have experienced this myself. I went to a sporting goods place, and there was a particular set of dumbbell handles that I was wanting. Spindle dumbbell handles, you put the plates on. And I was wanting a particular set. They were kind of hard to find. And there's a particular type that I wanted. And I was just learning this Neville stuff in a few months of really getting into this manifesting and metaphysics. And I went into the store and I just said, yeah, I'm going to come out with those handles because I've looked everywhere for them, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to find these handles. Well, I go in there and they have a display of a whole weight set, a whole complete weight set with the bars, the plates, the dumbbell handles, the long bars, everything. And I just wanted the dumbbell handles. So I look over at the shelf, and there's none of them. That section's empty. And so an employee comes over and says, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, I want a pair of dumbbell handles like these right here that are up in this display." And he said, "Well, that's the whole set. We can't sell that." I said, "Okay, do you have any?" And he said, "Let me go check in the back." So he goes in the back. He comes back out and he says, "Sir, I'm sorry, we just don't have any more of those handles just by themselves for sale." And I remember I tried it. I actually took on that kind of attitude. I said, "That's not what I heard you say," in my head. And I just kind of smiled and I said, "Okay." And about that time, the employee turns around and he says, "Wait a minute." And he climbs up and he looks at the shelves because they were a little tall. And he looks up and he says, "Wait a minute, sir. We've got a set back here in the back of this shelf." And he pulls them out. And I remember walking to my car laughing, saying, "Yep, I said I would come out with a pair of these dumbbell handles." All right. When you take no for an answer, you use that impudence, that brazen impudence, stubbornness, and say, "I know the reality I've chosen myself to be in. I know the person I have chosen myself to be, the person that has those dumbbells. I am the person that's chosen to have those tickets. I am the person that's chosen to have or to experience whatever, no matter what the physical reality is saying no," right? But did in any of those cases, am I talking about forcing anything to happen? Of course not. There's a story of Tony Robbins, and I'm not a big fan of him. I don't hate him, but I'm not a big fan of Tony Robbins' rah shit and all that. But that's his thing, and people like that. It's great. But anyhow, Tony Robbins in an interview told a story that was really fucking cool. It's on YouTube. Where one Christmas Eve he had this impulse, this desire that he wanted to get he needed a box truck of some sort because he wanted to donate a bunch of stuff for a homeless shelter on Christmas Eve. And it was just a last-minute decision. So he said he called in his assistants, his people that work for him, whatever, and he said, "Hey, see if you can call around and find me a box truck real quick." And they said, "Sir, a lot of these places are already closed Christmas Eve. They're closing early today that are open." And he said, so they called around. They couldn't find anybody. And he said, "Well, keep on. Keep on." He says, "I just know that we're going to get this stuff to these people. I just have a desire to do this, and I just know we're going to get this stuff to this homeless shelter, the stuff we want to donate." So a little later, towards the evening, it's getting close now, and he's going to be closing his Tony Robbins office and all this kind of shit. And he asked his employees one more time. He said, "Sir, we've called around everywhere. We can't find anybody that we can get a truck, borrow a truck from." He said, "No." He said to himself, "I know that they tried their best," but he said, "No, I just knew this was a done deal. I just knew it. We're going to get that stuff to the homeless shelter, the stuff we want to donate to this homeless shelter, and we're going to get a truck. We're going to get it delivered on time for Christmas." Well, he said he goes downstairs. He starts walking the sidewalks of the city that his office is in, and he says, "I just started asking random people." And he said, didn't have to ask many people. He says he sees a man in a vehicle, and he said, "Sir, do you happen to know any place that might have a truck I can borrow? I got some stuff I want to donate to the homeless shelter, and I need a box truck to be able to carry it and all this. And it's a lot of stuff." And he says, the man said, "I sure do." And he says he looked over on the passenger seat, and the man said, "Get in, I'll take you." And he gets in. The man had a hat in the seat, and he realized the hat that he was moving out of the way for him was a Salvation Army hat. The man was a captain in the Salvation Army place. Now, ironically, I drove a box truck for over a year for a Salvation Army department. I had a CDL, but that was, you didn't need a CDL to drive this box truck, but I happened to drive a box truck because it wasn't a big tractor trailer or anything. I drove for a Salvation Army that I worked for. I would go pick up stuff people were donating, drop off stuff, things like that. And so he takes him, gets a box truck, and Tony Robbins and his crew, they're able to load the stuff up, and they get it delivered to the homeless shelter in that town, just like he felt like it. But the point that Tony Robbins was making when he's telling that story was that he just would refuse to take no for an answer. He just knew in his heart that that's what it was. Why? Because he had chosen the identity of the person that had delivered stuff and gotten a box truck to deliver that stuff successfully by Christmas Day. So you become the identity of the person that has what you want, and then you can make action and take action. Now, Neville Goddard talked about bridges of incident. In other words, incidents. Things will happen once you choose that something's going to be your reality. No matter what events have to happen, and like Neville said, if it takes 1,000 people, different things in that nature, anything has to change to make what you want, you have chosen to manifest, it will happen. You don't have to force anybody, manipulate anybody, you don't have to do anything, but be yourself. And Neville used to say, in his own mysterious wording ways of saying things, he would say what is done. He says, you can do nothing. It's an illusion, for you can do nothing, for what is done unto you is done by you. And what he meant was, once you choose that reality, you will naturally take those steps. Now, I personally know that's true, and I bet if you think about that, you'll see that's true in your own life. Now, you don't ever take actions out of the state of lack and you got to have it, or conditioning. Well, if I don't get this thing, I'm going to be mad or upset, or, I believe the world's going to fall apart, or my world's going to fall apart. You just do it anyway, because you're here to play the video game, right? If you just win the game, that's no fun, right? So it's like training with weights, and you want to get stronger, or you want to build muscle, or both. You still want to go to the gym. You don't want to say, poof, I'm super strong, and poof, I got all this muscle, and I got the body I want. Well, that's not no fun, right? You like to have the experience. But the whole concept of manifesting, the magic of manifesting in metaphysics, is once you choose that state, then the actions you take just because you naturally would take them anyway. What is done unto you is done by you. It's done by you because you've already chosen that reality. So you just take action. And if you take some action or effort, your first phone calls, your first trips, the first places you call to get a truck, right? Anything that says you can't, don't worry about it. Because you're not conditioning, well, I'll be happy when I get this thing. I'm just going to take this action anyway. Because you could. Now, people talk about, can you manifest and just sit there and do nothing? On some things, and depending on what it is, absolutely. If it's relevant to your particular character that you're playing, your avatar you're playing in this Earth human matrix lucid dream game, then yeah, well, absolutely. Some things do fall in your lap. Absolutely. Other things, you take some action. But always take the action happily. You don't have to force anything out, just like you don't have to figure anything out. Does that mean you think about, where can I go to find that new car? If it feels good, think it out. Have fun. It's when you're stressing out, when you're trying to just force things out, just trying to, physically or mentally trying to force things to happen or figure things out with force, that's not effortless action. And that's not what manifesting is about, or reality. Everything that's happened to you in your life, good or bad, is because of what state you were in when it manifested. Okay? And the bad stuff happens to you effortlessly, doesn't it? The negative things you don't want to happen, they manifest effortlessly, right? Have you ever known some of the best things happen in your life just seeing what happened effortlessly? You didn't have to work hard for them. Now, of course, if you're in the state, you're the identity of someone who has to work hard for money, or work hard for things to work out, or work hard to keep your weight off and the body you want, or work hard at a relationship, then, that's what's going to manifest. But if you're like, no, things come to me easily, they come to me wonderfully, they always come to me in the right time. When you're in that state, it's a general flow state. It's a good general way to look at your whole life. Now, my wife and I, we talk about, when we talk about this stuff, we talk about something we want to experience or have in life, and we do it from the understanding of manifestation and the nature of reality, that it's all mind, it's mental, it's consciousness. We talk about the idea of moving in the direction. Well, that's what Tony Robbins was doing. That's what Neville Goddard was doing. He's moving in the direction to get those tickets. That's what I did to get the dumbbell handles. That guy did to get the record. And you move in a direction, and if the first store or the first phone call or the first attempt you have seemingly fails, you're so sure of yourself, you don't care. You don't get upset. Well, the dumbbells are sold out, sir. Dumbbell handles are sold out, or the tickets are sold out, or we're sold out of that record. You don't worry about it, Neville talks about getting out of the Army during World War II, and he wanted to be out honorably discharged. He said, I didn't want any part with a little war. That's what he said in his Barbados accent, because he was raised in Barbados. And he applied to get out of the Army. And of course, he got rejected. It was the Army. And he got rejected, and he did not have any negative reaction. He didn't worry about it. So one of the things that is important as far as effortless action, allowing things to manifest, and should you take action or not, one of the things that's important is knowing you don't make it incumbent upon the action you take or whatever, the phone calls you make, the trips you do to go see if you can find a thing, whatever it is that you're trying to do, physically, verbally, whatever. You don't put any rules on it. You don't put any stipulation. You just do that action anyway, because sometimes, and I'm sure it's happening in your life, it's happening in mine, you will want something to happen. You're in a positive state about it. You believe it's a done deal, and you'll take action. None of those actions worked, and it came on its own. But you didn't hurt the manifestation or seemingly slow it down from manifesting or anything from that. It's because the attitude from which you did it from the altitude of a higher mind, from your higher mind, your higher consciousness, knowing it's already a done deal. You are God up in heaven answering your own prayers down on earth. As above, so below. But as below, so above, when you're down here praying, know that your answer is a done deal. It's whatever you put your conscious awareness on being true for you and who you are, how you see the world. So as far as manifesting and effort or action, yes, you can get off your feet from your knees and your prayers and your, deciding this is what's going to be true for me, because knowing that it's a game, it's the fun part of it. It's like playing a video game, and you already know that you're gonna win this game one way or the other. You're gonna play this game, but you go through the actions. Or it's like watching a movie, knowing the movie's already got a good ending, but you watch the movie anyway for the fun of it. Okay, it's the action. The action is supposed to be fun, but you're gonna do the human action one way or the other. You're gonna have your seemingly time when we know there's really no time, but in this reality, time is slowed down or stretched out so we can experience things step by step and have fun, because we are perfect beings. We are the one perfect being, the one God, the one mind, the one universal mind, the universe, the all, experiencing itself and having experiences where it seemingly comes here through all us humans with amnesia. We come here as so-called fallen man, seemingly imperfect. We come here as the fallen Lucifer, the fallen angel cast out of heaven with all the angels that came with him. We come here seemingly with amnesia, seemingly that we're flawed. But when we awaken, as man, we awaken that we are God. As the saying goes, God became man, or consciousness, became man, that man may become God, that he might awaken to realize that he's already God. You don't become God, you already realize that you are God, or consciousness, the one mind, playing a human avatar, playing a human character. As Manly P. Hall said, who studied the different mystery schools, said that the lesson was, from all those mystery schools, if it's summed up in a nutshell, is for man to awaken that he's God while he's still man. That he awakens, or woman, you're human, and human self realizes you're actually God playing the seemingly fallen, seemingly imperfect human. That's why you don't have to worry about fixing your traumas or burning out your karma. And by the way, karma comes from a Sanskrit term, and that means momentum. So when I talk about my wife and I, we talk about, well, when I move in this direction, my wife was talking about something we both want to manifest. And she's talking about last night with me. She says, I'm just wanting to move in the direction. Just take steps in that direction. Why? Because it feels good to her to go stand in the line for the tickets to AIDA. Okay? It feels good to her to go to the record store and ask for the record. It feels good to her to apply to get out of the military. And even though you're not supposed to be able to get out during a wartime in World War II, like Neville Goddard did. And he even got rejected by a CO initially, but then he just would not accept no in his mind, in his consciousness. To him, it was already a done deal. He was honorably discharged. He just wanted to get out of the Army. He wanted nothing to do with the war stuff. And he just, even though the rejection, that was supposed to have been the end of it, Army protocol, that was supposed to be the end of it. Nope, you're not getting out. Well, days later, just a few days later, like a week or so, I think it's 9 days, but his CEO changed his mind for no apparent reason and honorably discharged him. And people have looked into that, certain researchers have looked into that, and they found that Neville was in the Army and that he was honorably discharged, and he was never deployed in any war theater during World War II. And he did not stay in the Army the normal stint of time. So, it's a seeming miracle. It seems impossible. But that, let me get over a little bit. Somebody left a car here overnight. This other parking space, throwing me off. Who arrived at my place of employment. It's Effortless. Okay. I needed a better paying job, and my wife and I needed a better living situation. Talked about this in a previous video. And I'm one of these guys who likes to get to work early and sit in my vehicle and just relax for a little bit and get my thoughts clear. And so we were told about this job here. Well, for whatever reason, we decided we'll move here and get this job. We moved here, and I hadn't even put an application in yet. I had no doubt in my mind. She and I talked about it, and we felt good about it. So you want to talk about effortless action? We just felt like, yeah, this works out. And my wife and I, I've certainly learned to sit and talk to her, and we talk things out when it comes to, big things and decisions, and I talk it out. That's an action. And say, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about it? Okay, do we want to do this? Yeah. Well, we did that about moved here, and I hadn't even put an application in yet. I didn't even think about it. I hadn't put the application in. I just knew about the job. I hadn't interviewed with anybody, nothing. I just knew about this job. And this loader job, this junkyard, auto recycling plant. And so I just came here because I had experience with loader equipment and backhoes and stuff. And I said, okay, had a few years under my belt, off and on, and driving trucks as well. But for some odd reason, we had moved up here, got our stuff up here, everything. And the job was just, I got hired. It was really easy to get hired. And the job that I have is a very particular job. It's a certain skill set. It's a niche skill set. There's a lot of good loader operators out there, equipment operators. They wouldn't want to do this job because it's the other skills and things that are required with it. And it's like I said, it's a niche type of job. But I got the job, and I got hired, and I agreed to the pay they gave me because I thought, well, they'll bump me up when they, see what I can do and things like that and all that. Well, in under 24 months, they gave me $7 worth of raises because they wanted to keep me because I showed my abilities and things like that. I had never worked in a junkyard or anything like that with heavy equipment or in any other capacity. And so my point being is kind of moving out in faith. When you take your action, take it in faith, but don't make any stipulations. Because like I said, you may take action that it's not the actual action that you're taking that leads, but it's that mental momentum. It's the focus of knowing that you already have that delivery truck in the last hours, last minute on Christmas Eve. It's just that knowing you have it, and you just move in that direction, and that's that momentum. That mental momentum, and you take action. You just kind of move in that direction. But at the same time, if you could just get out and you want to make a sandwich and you need sandwich material, to get in your vehicle and go get or if you live in a city or something, just walk or get in a subway, whatever. But to go to the store and get your bread and whatever stuff, however kind of sandwich you want to make, right? So get all that stuff, the meat or whatever. But or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, go get the peanut butter and jelly, whatever. But you know that. Well, manifesting is about when you don't really know what to do, or you know to take certain actions, but you don't know the other actions, or you're not sure if those actions will work or whatever. You're living your human game. You're doing your character. You're going through the motions, but you do them knowing that even if the motions I'm taking right now don't have any direct effect on what I want to manifest, they feel good to take. I'm not doing them out of a sense of lack. A lot of people do manifesting techniques. These manifesting techniques where you imagine things and, all this type of stuff. It's all mental, and you do that, and they think that doing those techniques, or they'll do affirmations. They'll keep repeating to themselves, I have my new car, whatever type of shit. Thinking those actions, whether it's mental or physical, that they think those actions is what does it, because they're doing it out of a state of lack. And they don't understand the only reason why things manifest in your life is because you've chosen to now see, instead of seeing the world from I'm driving a junkie car to I'm driving my dream car. And you just stay in that state even though you don't know how to get that car or whatever. You need more money in your bank account, you need better health, whatever. You look at the world from that state. I was happily married in my mind before I met my wife, and I wasn't looking for women. I wasn't dating or nothing. I just wanted to be happily married. And I didn't want to just be married, because I had that in my life, but I wasn't happily. Well, I want to be happily married, blissfully married. And I made up my mind I was already the person seeing the world from that point of view, and I said, don't worry about it. Now, I do want to say, does that mean that, well, if you're happily married, does that mean, well, you should never, when somebody asks you, are you single or whatever, are you available? And you say, no. No, that's delusional. It's lying. It's bullshit. You would tell that person, no, I'm single, but I would like to find someone. You just be honest. And so if you're in the state of being happily married, it means inside you feel like, if you're looking for a better vehicle in your imagination, you're just going ahead and feeling the satisfaction that you have that better vehicle. And then someone comes up and says, hey, man, you want this better vehicle? Or, hey, man, I do car work and I don't charge a lot, or whatever, fix the car you got, whatever the situation is. You say, yeah, I'm looking for a better car. But you don't do it from a sense of lack. Like, oh, man, you look for that delivery truck on Christmas Eve in the last minute. You go to get those tickets from that sold-out play, knowing that even if those particular actions you're taking ain't going to work, if it feels good to do it and you're just doing it because you're doing the character, that's what you're doing. You're not doing things from a state of lack. You're not trying to manifest anything or make anything happen by physical action or techniques or anything like that. You are simply just accepting it's done deal, and then you go through your life doing that. My wife and I were talking about something last night. We talked about we both wanted it to manifest, and she was talking about the momentum. Well, I just want to do things to go in the momentum. What can we do together as a couple for the momentum? And she's not trying to force anything to happen, because I told her, I said, I'm going to stay. It's already a done deal. It's already happened. It's going to work out as it's supposed to, however it's supposed to work out. And she goes, yeah, but, isn't there some things that we can do to move in that direction? And she, was talking about ideas. I'm like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with, we'll do that. But I just don't want to do it from a state of lack or trying to force things out. All right, I'm going to stop this video from here, and I'm going to listen to it, check it out, and anything I want to add, I'll add to it later. And I will be uploading a video today. I'm not sure what I'm going to title it, but it's about the whole idea of above, below, above, and climbing the Kundalini Jacob ladder. Jacob's ladder. Okay, I'm back. Another example I can use is there was a time in my life, don't ask why, but there was a time in my life I knew someone, I needed a vehicle, and they were giving me a ride because I was in between vehicles, and give me a ride to work and things like that. And they had a minivan, and I was thinking, maybe I want a minivan. I don't know. Fuck it. I'll put soccer mom sticker on the back. No, I was just thinking, got to thinking about it, and then I was at work one day, and I was learning. Well, I'd already been learning manifestation stuff and things like that. So I was like, it'll come. I'll get the right one. It'll all work out. It'll be within my price range, etc., etc. So sitting there at work, co-worker, and I just happened to mention to him, it's in the morning, and we're all sitting there and drinking our coffee, waking up, and getting ready to start our day. And have our morning meeting and things in the shop, and this was years ago, and he said, I said, hey, you don't happen to know anybody that has a vehicle for sale, used vehicle or something like that? And he went, no. And he goes, well, actually I do. He says, I've got a minivan. And he sells me this minivan at a really good price. It needed a power steering pump, and he said, I'll put it in. And he said, I'll charge you just with pump cost and a little bit of labor. And then he delivered it to where I was staying at the time, where I was living. And I ran that thing, and I got quite a good, I got my money's worth out of it, let me tell you. But it was just kind of funny. I mean, it was just, but the point is the action. I had to, just mentioned, anybody, I wasn't like, anybody, I need a car. Anybody know where I can find a car within my price range? I need a vehicle, a minivan or whatever. I need a vehicle. No. I was just like, well, I know I need a vehicle. I'm just borrowing. Someone's been taking me to work and picking me up and things like that. And I was like, yeah, it'll come. And I just happened, it is a conversation. So you happen to know somebody that has a reasonable price vehicle, used vehicle for sale. And his first things was, he went, no. He goes, well, wait a minute. I do have a minivan that my wife and I are trying to sell. And, it was a great deal, what he charged me for it. And I got my money's worth out of it. And, but that's an example. Another great example is my wife herself. She's one of my favorite manifestations, and always will be one of my favorite manifestations. Up there in my top 3, I'll put it that way. But since I've been learning to consciously and purposely manifest, and she, if I had been just going around saying, I'm in the state of mind that I'm happily, blissfully married, so. Somebody asked me if I'm in a relationship or if I'm single, I'm going to lie, because that'd be contradicting my state of mind. No. In imagination, it was already a done deal. I felt the relief. I already had it. Like Tony Robbins already felt like he had the delivery van he needed, right? So, but you still go about your actions, play your human character, just knowing you've already won. Okay? How about that? So, she and I, it was online. It was Facebook of all fucking places. But what happened was I happened to be friends with somebody that was related to her, and so we had befriended each other because we had some things in common, and so we just chatted every now and then, whatever. And then I just had this inspiration just to private message her and chat with her one evening after work. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm driving home and I'm at, whatever, and I do all my stuff and take my shower and things like that, and then I'll just chat, bring up Facebook, and then I'll just chat to her, So I send her a chat, and we hit it off from that moment on, and then exchange phone numbers. I talked to her, and I've mentioned in videos before of our first conversation over the telephone was me talking about talking about perspective and the things in your life, and you can change your perspective and change how you see things in general, but also how you change how you see things. Those things can manifest to what you want. Well, ironically, there was a manifestation, and it was Neville Goddard would call it a bridge of incident, right there talking to this cute little lady, who I never thought we would get together or anything like that. My intention was never to flirt with her because we were states away, thousands of miles away. That's where her family was. I assumed she wouldn't want to move or anything like that. I had no intention to move to that area where she was at, states away, and like 16-hour drive away, this type of thing. And so I never even, and I didn't want to do a long-distance relationship or internet relationship. I'd already tried one of those. God, that was miserable. Why? I was forcing things. I was always forcing things, trying to force relationships. And that's what they talk about, don't take action, is you don't want to force anything or do it from a state of lack. Like, you don't have it, and I got to do it. If I don't do this action, I won't get it. No, just be yourself. So I acted like a single man. I knew she was single, and it wasn't inappropriate to talk to her. I wasn't flirting with her or nothing. We were just talking, discussing things that we had in common, just chatting, like I do with anybody, on Facebook or anybody in life. But if I hadn't have been myself, or I was like, well, no, I don't have to do anything to find a wife, and I have to make no effort. And again, I wasn't even thinking about her and I getting together because I just thought I didn't want to do no more internet or over long distance type relationship bullshit. God, that didn't work for me. I don't know about you, or I'm sure it works for some people, but so anyhow. So I was just being myself, though, just chatting it up, chat with people. Like I said, I was single, she was single. It wasn't inappropriate, and I didn't do any inappropriate conversations with her anyway. But the point being is that I knew I was single, and I knew she was single, but I was in the state I was already blissfully married to somebody. But I still did the actions I was myself. Just live your life accepting the fact that what you want is a fact. It's already a done deal. What you want manifested, no matter how seemingly impossible it is, you don't know how to do it or whatever, just accept the fact that it's done, and then go about your business anyway. You're wanting a certain item that you can't find in stores anywhere, and you're enjoying looking around for it, looking online, asking questions, going to different stores, and you're enjoying looking for it. Enjoy the journey of it. Enjoy the fun of looking for it, knowing you've already found it. Okay? Enjoy doing the things, the momentum towards the actions that feel good to you, the actions towards the goal that you have, the thing you want to manifest. Even if you know, I don't really know how to do this or get it done or whatever, do those actions. Because I'll tell you what, it's not going to stop you from getting what you want. The only thing that will ever stop you from getting what you want, manifesting it or slow it down, is if you are trying to manifest, use mental manifestation techniques from the state of lack, or you're trying to find or work things out from a state of lack, or I'm going to try to find someone I want to be married. I just want to be happily married, find someone I find attractive, and we have a couple things in common, and you force it, right? My failed relationships were because I would force things. I would you try to fit a square peg in a round hole instead, and it's a lot of things, all kinds of things in life that you've tried to force. You may get it, but after a while, it just turns out to be dog shit, or it don't last, or whatever, or now you're stuck with something and you're miserable. So don't force anything, just flow. And flowing is movement, like a river or creek. The water's flowing, right? So you have your momentum, you just do it this time knowing that you've already got it. You already know you got that box truck, that delivery truck. You already know it's a done deal. And you don't worry about it. If people tell you no, you call them no, or we don't have no trucks, our drivers are gone for the day, blah, blah, blah. You just keep on. And then if you have, and by the way, if you don't know what to do, you haven't thought of anything to do, you have no inspired action or inspired ideas, don't stress. Don't worry about it. Then there's nothing to do. When Neville said there's nothing to do, and that you can do nothing because what you have done was done unto you, what he was saying is your actions now, because you've chosen to be the person that has that rare bicycle you want, that relationship you want, the healing you want, the actions you take will be natural anyway, whether you realize you're taking actions towards something or not. Now, after my wife and I got to talking, she wasn't my wife yet, we got to talking, we realized we were really, really actually ended up really liking each other. And then she moved down and with me, and we have been together ever since, and it's been blissful. But you're not delusional, saying you already have the thing you don't have. You just have the feeling that it's already a done deal. You're not out trying to force it to happen or figure it out. But if ideas come to you, try them out. And hey, if they fail, don't worry, have fun. Just think it's a game. You're going to get everything you decide you already have. You're going to be the person that already has the things you want. You're the identity of that person if you choose that identity. If you accept that identity, accept that fact, you can't screw it up if you take actions. And the actions that you take are wrong, or the thoughts you have are wrong. If you're doing it with a light heart and you're flowing and you're easing, and you're easy about it, and you're not conditioning, well, if this doesn't work, or I don't get this thing, you don't do any of that. You just flow. Now you see that life is a game, it's not a struggle or a fight. Mr. Goddard, Neville Goddard, said, he said, if anyone, this is not an exact quote, but it's pretty close to it, what I'm fixing to say. He said, if anyone tells you how to get wealthy or how to get money or to get anything, and they tell you to do it their way, like these how to get rich people and how I got my business to grow, you need to do what I do, or how I found my love of my life, or how I did this, or how I lost weight, or whatever, he says, don't listen to them. There's a wisdom behind that. It's because your individual way to get there, it may be pretty close to how someone else did it. I like to use the examples of fingerprints and snowflakes. Some snowflakes look pretty close, like they're similar to each other. Some fingerprints people have, but they're still different. Everyone has a different fingerprint, and every snowflake has got a different geometry to it. I was going to say sacred geometry to it. Okay, it's individual, right? So not even identical twins. We have identical twins that work here at work. I mean, they look, sound, everything, same personality, everything. But yet there's difference. maybe more subtle than others, but there is difference, clear difference. So how you get wealthy, yeah, you can get ideas. How you can get the strength you want training in the gym, or lose the weight you want, or get the success in whatever it is that you want, it may be very similar to what other people did. And I'm not saying don't listen to other people's ideas and how they did certain things and things like that. But in the end, your journey in this game of life, where time is the eternal now, but it's seemingly a stretched out, and seemingly a yesterday, and seemingly a tomorrow, and a today, a past and a future, but yet there's nothing but eternal, the eternal moment. But anyway, the eternal now. But anyhow, where everything is seemingly slowed down so we can experience time and experience these things, your journey is going to be a little different, to losing weight, to getting the strength you want, to getting the financial success or the vehicle or the love of your life or whatever it is, the rare, item you're looking for, bicycle or whatever. Your journey is going to be your unique journey. Again, it may be very similar to other people. So, and I'm not saying don't listen to how other people got their muscle, got strong, or found the car that they wanted. I'm not saying don't, or get the money that they want, or the business success they want. I'm not saying don't listen to them, but it's still going to be unique to you. Okay? You have to understand that. There are no two success stories in life that are exactly the same. And there are no two identical twins that are truly physically and personality-wise exactly the same. So their voices may sound identical twins, their voices may sound pretty similar, but they're not going to be exactly the same. It may take some sort of audio computer machine to record their voices, but it will notice a difference. So Devil was very clear about that one, though. Don't listen to how other people did things. When he gave examples of how he manifested, he was trying to teach us the general principles. Now, if you want to get principles of how somebody works out in the gym to get the weight they want, or to be able to lift the weight that they want, the strength they want, or whatever, or how a person did their business, or how they did their thing, yeah, you can listen so you get principles, get ideas, but you're still going to experience your own individual way things worked out for you. Now, but the main thing is, and the main principle is, because the one law that no one can break, because it just is consciousness. The whole universe is mind, because it's just a universal mind. It's nothing but consciousness. So have what you want in mind first. Then when you go to have the game of life and choose what you want, then your journey to getting it, that experiencing of it, is fun. You don't want to just have a full belly, do you? You like to enjoy the food, eating the food. Some people like to cook. I hate to cook. I love washing dishes. I don't have a problem washing dishes. I'll clean your kitchen for you if you cook for me. But I fucking hate cooking. I don't even like making a fucking sandwich. I don't even like making my own cup of coffee. How's that for you? Okay? I hate boiling water. I can burn it. No. But, I mean, I can cook to survive. But, I don't even like my own cooking. But, I like it when my wife makes my coffee, but I think what it is, I think she sticks her finger in the coffee, makes it sweet. All right, but anyhow, she's a sweetheart. But have it in mind first. Have it in mind. Have it in consciousness. This is what Neville's talking about. Appropriate it and assume that you already have it in mind. Accept the fact that you already have it in mind. Then the actions you take, just think that all as fun. I want to correct something I said earlier in this video. At the time, the minivan thing, I had come across manifesting stuff, but this was before 2016. I had not really... I look back and realize that's why people come to manifesting and come to believe in it, is because they can look on their life and say, yeah, I can see where my consciousness did create things and manifested things. So that, and that was one of those things. So to be honest, I wasn't trying to manifest something. I was just more in the state of mind like, oh, it'll work out for me. Because I was already, a kind of person. I was like, fuck it. If I can't do it, even God will do it. I was Christian back then. God will take care of it. Fuck it. Now, I used to work with a guy when I started learning manifestation, and I had a previous channel, and I started talking about manifestation and things like that, and metaphysics. I worked with a guy. He was an equipment operator, one of the best I ever worked with, I'll tell you. He would always say, it'll work out as it's supposed to. It'll work out as it's supposed to. And I think I've told this video, and I told this story in videos before, but I'm going to tell it here real quick. His girlfriend, he showed up at the job site. I showed up at the job site, and then I seen him showing up at the job site, but all of a sudden he just turned and left. And so I called him on the phone. I said, "Where'd you go?" And he told me, he said his girlfriend, her name, I said, she got in a wreck. I said, "She okay?" He said, "Yeah, but her car ain't." So he told me where they were, and I drove, and I seen, and she kind of teared up and everything, but she was okay, and the person she hit was okay. And so a couple days later, he's telling me, he says, she's stressing about the car, getting a car she needs. I think it was like $1,600 or something, something to do with down payment on a car, or something to do. But she needed that amount to replace her car because she was going to college at that time, and she had a full-time job, and she needed transportation. And he told her, he said, "It'll work out as it's supposed to. Don't worry, the money will come. But it'll work out as it's supposed to." And she was worried about it. He says, "No, as I'm always telling you, things work out as they're supposed to." That was his saying. So then he tells me, he says, how she was needing that money and stressing and all that. And I told her, his saying, "It'll work out as it's supposed to." He said, we stopped at gas stations. He said she bought a scratch-off ticket and a drink and things like that. Scratch off the ticket, it was exactly I think it was $1,600. It was exactly the amount she needed. And she went and got that vehicle the next day. And he's chuckling. He says it'll work out as it's supposed to. And so my wife and I have our little inside jokes, and as all couples do, and one of them is it'll work out as it's supposed to. And that's that where you just don't stress about it. Now, if she hadn't bought a scratch-off ticket, you see what I'm saying? She didn't know anything about manifestation, and like he was talking about, things will work out as it's supposed to, and they will. They will work out as it's supposed to. And you be just the person that you are that already has what you want doesn't mean not taking action. It means just being that person, being yourself. Like I was in my mind, imagination, I'd already accepted the fact and had that feeling of relief that I'd already manifested the happy marriage I wanted. But I wasn't delusional. I knew at that time I wasn't married. I just wasn't going out forcing and trying to find someone. I said, "It'll work out as it's supposed to. She'll come into my life. It'll work out." And I didn't just sit around. Now for me, I didn't go out looking for anybody. I said, "You know what? That's not working for me. Going to dating sites or going places trying to work with women, flirt with women or find women or ask anybody if they know anybody single, whatever, might want to hang out or go on a date or something. That stuff doesn't work for me. It may work for somebody else, but I had to be me, and my me was just me just chatting it up and just talking and being myself, and I found the dream wife of my life. So anyhow, the moral of the story is some people misunderstand the Neville Goddard thing about it's an illusion that you can take action for you can take no action, or him talking about you can do nothing, that kind of stuff. Do nothing because you can do nothing. It's a misunderstanding because Neville himself took action. It's just that you take it from the state that it's already done, and you're not making it, conditioning it, or making it incumbent upon, well, this action that I do take right now, it has to be it, or it has to be the right action. When it may not be the right action, but it makes you feel good. My wife and I were talking last night about something that we want to do. It requires some money. It's a trip we want to take. And requires money. And she's saying, if we could just put, symbolically put some money aside for it. She said, it makes her feel like that's a momentum moving towards something that we want, that she wants manifested and I want manifested. And I told her, I said, well, when we've done this stuff with trips before, things like that, or anything like that, it always worked out. We always had enough money, everything worked out. And so I said, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. Take an action, just take an action that feels good. Be your normal self. Like, you can only put $10 or a dime in the piggy bank towards what you want. What you're doing, you're not doing it like, well, this is what I have to do to make this happen. It's more like you're just doing it from the state that it's already happened, and you're just doing it, hell, do it for the fucking fun of it. But it's not about that you have to force anything anymore or try to figure things out. This life is not a struggle, like I have a video titled about that. Life is not a struggle. Life truly is a game, like the Kai Valian says. Life is a game. And the Kybalion also uses the term law of attraction, but it's actually based off the Kybalion's principle of correspondence. So you correspond, you just in the mindset that it's already happened, and you're not doing anything from a state of lack or anything like that. You're not delusional. You're not delulu. You're not delusional. You know that, you don't have that thing right now physically, but you feel the feeling of acceptance, as Neville called it, the feeling of feeling it real. What he meant by the feeling that real is feeling the acceptance it's already done. And then anything you do from then on, as long as you're not doing it out of the state of lack or trying to make it happen, or even fearful, if I don't do this thing, it won't happen, or I won't get it. No, just be the normal you. Manifesting is like going in the future, seeing that you already have that thing that you want, and then coming back to now, which even if you went in the future, it'd be only now, because there's only the eternal now. There's no past or present. But anyhow, you'd come back to now, the present moment, and you would act, and you would just go ahead and be yourself. All you would know now is that you had that thing. You didn't know how it happened, because you don't know. You won't know until it happens. Now, you may know you're on that, what Neville called the bridge of incident. You may know you're in the middle of it while it's happening. Like when I was getting with my wife and we're moving together and things like that and all this type of stuff, I knew she's the one, and I knew that because it was totally different when I've got in relationships before. But I just knew what was happening. It was a bridge of incident. Okay. So you may know, you may not know that you're in the middle of the actual incidents that's going to lead to it. You don't know. That's part of the game. Have fun. You're not really sure. You know you're going to win the game, but you don't know yet. So you went to the future, you seen you had that thing, but then you came right back and you have no idea how it happened, but you know you got it. So you come back here not worried about having to make it happen. Manifesting is like knowing the future. You just don't know how it happens. So just be your natural self. And don't worry about it. If you take action, you're not going to fuck anything up, ladies and gentlemen. If you take action that doesn't lead to what you're wanting, but you get it anyway, I'm just telling you. Because you're already in the state I have it, I'm not conditioning this action. If you will live your life that way and say, well, and if you don't know anything to do, you don't have any idea what to do, don't worry about it. That's what they call inspired action. You'll get an idea. And maybe you'll get an idea, but it's not the idea that actually leads to what you want. But wasn't it fun? Trying that idea out, trying that action, or having those thoughts, as long as you know that, hey, I've already got it. Anytime a desire comes upon you, like Neville said, accept it then, that it's a fact. Just accept it's a fact. You don't have to know the details of that desire exactly, what it is. Like, let's say you just want to be happily married, but you don't know what you want in a spouse, or you want a good vehicle, but you just don't know exactly what kind of vehicle. You don't have to know details, but if you know details of the kind of vehicle you want, or what you want in a spouse, attributes, the physical and personal attributes, personality attributes, those type of things, in a spouse, anything. I want a better paying job, or maybe you know the exact job you want, or you just know a type of job you want, right? It doesn't matter. If you just have these general desires, just accept them. When you know what you don't want, you'll know what you want, even if it's in a general sense. You'll be in that direction mentally. You'll know, I want something better than this. I don't like how this tastes. I want something better. I don't like where I live here. I'm not sure where I want to live, but I will tell you, it's fun to discover the details sometimes. But anyhow, the point being is, you will have the better. You will have the things manifest that you want always. When you desire it, it's already yours. You can't desire a thing and not have the feeling of desire and the feeling of fulfillment at the same time, because everything is one thing. The Kybalion teaches us this. Mysticism and metaphysics teaches us this, that everything is one thing and everything is just one consciousness. And in consciousness are different states about things, and each state is one thing. Temperature is one thing. Heat and cold is just extremes of temperature. Bitter and sweet are just extremes of taste. Okay? Everything is just one thing. Light and dark is actually just one thing. Heat and cold, like I said, is temperature, and everything is just one thing. So desire and fulfillment of desire is one thing. So just accept that it's a done deal and just be yourself. It makes life a lot easier. When you desire something, go, ooh, that's exciting. Whether you know the details of it or not, you're like, yeah, okay. That's my thing. And then be yourself. Don't worry about how it happens. Or like you went to a future in a time machine. You seen you had that thing, but you didn't know how you got it or experienced that. concert that you wanted to get tickets for and you couldn't, or whatever it is, and you just know you already have it and you come back. You don't know how it happened. You're not trying to force it to happen because you can't fuck it up. If you accept a desire as already done, you can't fuck it up. Now, some people say, well, can I fuck it up by not taking action? No and yes. Yes and no, and I'll tell you why. You could, quote, slow it down or fuck it up if you force action, but you also can fuck it up if you don't take action, and you don't take action for the same reason you would force action. You're doing it from a state of lack. If you're not taking action because you're in a state of lack, like, well, I'm not going to take action because it'll fuck up my manifestation, you're fucking it up. Be yourself. Like I said, finding my wife and my spouse, for me, the whole dating thing wasn't my thing. Going out and just trying to flirt or ask people to have women, to meet or anything like that, just wasn't my style. It's just not my personality. But it may be for somebody else, right? And then they find their spouse of their dreams. You be you. That's the only action you need to take, is just be you. Don't do it out of a state of lack. Don't do it out of a state of fear. Don't not take action out of a state of fear or a state of lack. All right, I'm going to end this video here. Have a great day.